All right, how you doing, YouTube? I just recently received this one on the right is a Swiss pickaxe. On the left, this one I've had actually for about a year. Anyway, both of these are Swiss pickaxes. Let's take a quick look at them as quick as I can. You know, I ramble about a bunch of bullshit, so I appreciate you standing here. So I'm gonna measure the shaft on this. So we're at 20 and a half inches. Now if I measure this one, not including the cover, we're at about 20 inches, maybe 20 and a quarter. So this one's been worn out on the end. So I'm sure it was probably around 20 and a half inches when it first was made. This one was made in 1961, as best as I can see, based on the stamp, and it's very hard to read that, but to me it looks like 1961. This one has a stamp on there from 1979, and where is that? So I haven't looked at this for a little while, but anyway, there we go. So this is made in 1971. Now, the reason that I bought this one, the older one, is because it had a cover. So this cover was actually made in the 1940s, and trying to read it is telling me it's at like 1946. So these covers were made in the 1940s. Somewhere between 1939 to 1946. I paid $20 more for this right here from, and I can't pronounce it, but Varusteleka, something like that. Anyway, it's a Finnish surplus place. You probably already know what the actual pronunciation is, but I don't speak Finnish or Swedish. This one I got from Sportsman's Guide. So this was about $25. This was about $46. The reason I paid $20 more, now I have two of these. I bought it about $25. But I was looking for these covers, and the reason I was looking for the covers is if I want to carry this on a pack, then I've got protection on the sharp edges on the pick and the axe part, which, you know, for me, yeah, actually use this stuff. I've been using this one for the last year just for gardening, because I really haven't taken it out anywhere. The reason I bought these is I was thinking that my son and I, who is in the Boy Scouts now, he just graduated from Cub Scouts to the Boy Scouts, I thought maybe we'd look for Thundereggs. What's great about these, because they're shorter than your standard pickaxe, and also, you know, as far as this blade goes, this is only, what, 2¼ inches wide on that blade. You know, it's much smaller than the larger 36 to 48 inch pickaxe. Now, for using this for gardening, it's worked pretty well because, you know, I can just go into the dirt and I can, you know, make trenches for seeding, lettuce or other herbs and stuff like that that we grow at my house. What I like about these is, you know, I used to be in the Marines and I didn't have pickaxes. I just had e-tools. And when I was in the Marines, I'm old enough that we had shelter halves. And so around the shelter halves, we would use the e-tools to dig a ditch around the edge of that. So if it was raining, then any of that water would go through that channel that I made. So if I had had this at that time, I probably would have used this, because now I can just do a 2 1/4 inch trench around there a little bit easier than using an e-tool at a different angle to do the same thing. Now let's take a quick look at the difference between these. So if you take a look here, now when I first got this leather cover, it was pretty dry, but it wasn't completely dry, but it looked a lot worse. So what I did with this is I used some leather cleaner on here, and then I ended up using some wax and beeswax and oil to rejuvenate this, and that was the Open-Offs what I used on it. So the reason I like Open-Offs is it does have some oil in there to rejuvenate it, and then with that beeswax, what it does is it helps protect this leather so that when it rains or something like that, it protects it better than just let's say lanolin. You know, I like to use a lot of lanolin from Sweden on my leather, and I've used it on my boots as well. The problem with the lanolin is, you know, yes, it is a fat and the leather accepts it very well. It's just when I get some minor scratches and stuff like that, the lanolin shows the scratches much better than the Open-Offs with the wax inside of it. So what I found is, you know, now with my boots, I'll use the lanolin, you know, every 6 months, and with the boots I will use them you know, once a month to help protect it, and it protects it from scratches and the leather. So what's interesting about this cover is you've got these two straps which you can take that off. So with this cover, I can lash it onto my loops in my backpacks. It protects me from getting pierced by the end on here, and kind of looks cool. You know, I'm all about fashion, so my fashion is use old school shit, and for me, looks cool. I probably look like a nerd or something like that, but you know, whatever. That's fine. Call me a nerd. I am a nerd. Anyway, so I like this. So this will work on either one. And that's the only reason I bought this one, is so I could get this cover. It's hard to find the pickaxes, especially the ones from the 70s, that have a cover as well. And I actually contacted people in Switzerland. I've got a few contacts over there. I was like, yeah, I'm just looking for this, But usually, if I'm lucky, they can find both of them, but not just this by itself. So when I saw this online, I said I gotta get this. So let's show a couple difference between these two. So let's look at the total length. So we're looking at 12 inches from the blade on the right to the pick on the end, 12 inches. Let's take a look on this guy. This is at 11 5/8. If you notice, on the newer ones, they've got this notch on both sides. There is no notch on the older ones. These are forged. So I really haven't checked the newer old one to see if it's stronger than the old forged stuff. But when stuff's forged, usually it's not hardened on the edges. But possibly one of these are. I don't know enough about both of these to see if one, the other, or both are hardened on the edges. I'm guessing they're not. Usually when you forge stuff, it's not going to be smithed over here to harden it. But possibly it was. I don't live in Switzerland. I never served in the Switzerland military, so I don't know. So obviously this one was never used. This has a lacquer on there. Possibly this had a lacquer on it, but this, I'm assuming, is from the 40s to 60s as well. Both of these look like oak, because that is normally what I find on my e-tool from Switzerland is, you know, they use oak instead of hickory or ash on their shafts. But for me, you know, even though these things are about 2.5 pounds each, you know, if I know what the purpose is, then I will take these with me. If I'm looking for Thundereggs, or if I'm going to go camping and I want to make a little trench, I'd rather use these than an e-tool. And I do have the e-tools. If you look at my older videos, I do have the e-tools from Switzerland on them. So let's just take a look at these points. So this point just drops down here, versus this one is drops, and then it has another angle right over here. My guess is, since these are cast, that they're gonna perform pretty much the same as the other, even though they look a little bit different. But that's really it. I just wanted to show you a couple things that I have here. I've never seen the Swiss pickaxe on YouTube. There might be one out there, but when I searched for it, I couldn't find them at all. I just wanted to show you real quick. You know, so if you can find these online, I think this is a great tool. If you can find one with a cover, in my opinion, is much better, because now you've got something that you can lash onto your backpack and not worry as much about punctures or hurting yourself, things like that. But that's it. Hey, thanks a lot for taking a look at my video. Have a good day.